great, having a nice wine, waiting for my friend. Today I'm going to interview Kelly Corcoran Smith, which is a great skater, a great person, and an amazing dancer as well. So it would be great to have Kelly with us. Let's see if he is connected over there. Yes, he is. Kelly, are you there? Yay! Hola,
Hi.
amiga! How are you?
Cheers! Sorry. Cheers.
There you go. How are you doing?
I am good. Yeah. I'm sorry. I saw your call, but I was signed in Safari and Facebook, and then I had to switch, and then then I had to get like a fabulous green wine glass. So
I was gonna say, what are you drinking? Like apple
yeah,
juice? It's green.
yeah. It's there's like a local blower that like blows glass, and my mom had these fun glasses made, and I was like, "Oh, those are cool. Let's use that." So,
Nice.
yeah,
I'm noticing you're blonde.
a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that before. Look at that. That's nice.
Yeah, we just, switched it up. So
Quarantine.
yeah, and
Does it
now
too
and
much?
now it's like growing out. So
I
uh,
am I am gray, so I'm not gonna. That's
and
the hair.
and right, I don't have Nick to give me a haircut. So
Right.
mhm.
None of us have Nick for a haircut. I had to cut my mother's hair.
Oh,
So this is going downhill. This is crazy.
well. Yay, how was your day?
It was good. It was good. I did a lot of cleaning today, and then I got here to get ready for all these because if I turn around the camera, this is like a whole other world of Chino that I'm doing to get the light, the sound, and blah blah blah. Blah. So I'm all ready for you, and I wanted to ask you a couple of questions so people get to know you better.
Sure.
I would like to start with skating. If you want to tell us, like, how did you start skating? Was it a coincidence? Was it because you liked it, or your parents put it on you? Tell us a little bit how did this career come to you?
Yeah. So I mean, I started skating pretty young. Growing up, in Minnesota and North Dakota, in the winter it's very cold. So I actually learned to skate like on the pond across the street from my house.
Oh wow!
So I had my parents' friends, their son he was a year older than me, so I like borrowed his skates, and they took me down there, and that was literally the first time I put skates on. And my mom loved skating and was like a recreational skater growing up.
Okay.
And then she just got a little bit more involved in college and just wanted us to learn how to skate. And then in segue, my aunt was a dancer, and so that was kind of
Okay.
her thing. And so I obviously started dancing first. I mean, I started dancing at 3 and like taking class very young.
Oh
And
wow! That's
yeah,
very.
my aunt's a friend of my aunt ran the dance studio in our small town. And then so that was kind of how that started. So then with the skating, yeah, my mom just loved skating, and grew up watching Peggy Fleming and Dorothy Hamill, and so she always loved that. And then
So you got that from your
yeah,
house, and then because of your neighbor, you got involved with that. But you were
yes,
dancing first, then. I'm
dancing
interested in
first.
that. What did you
Yeah.
start dancing? Ballet, or you started jazz, or?
So obviously, baby kid in ballet class and like doing that. And then I mostly did bit jazz and modern, but I took everything. And we would drive so in the small town that I was in, we would drive about an hour to go to a little bit bigger city once a week to take class. So I would take ballet and tap and jazz. And then as I got older, then I would even drive even further to Minneapolis to take dance classes there. And
Nice.
and obviously then with skating. But yeah, so that's sort of how I got started. And then I think pretty early on, the coach that my mom had me work with, and she kind of said, wow, he has some talent for skating, and obviously he loves to move, and I was like just dancing on the ice and going crazy
all over the rink. Yep. I can see you. Yes.
Yep. So so then I started to go to, you know, other rinks here in the United States to work with coaches, and then finally at 12 years old, you know, decided that it was time to go and train somewhere full time. There just wasn't enough, you know, enough ice time. And it's funny right now with like kids not being able to skate. I mean, we didn't have ice, you know, we only had the ice in the year from like November until March. So there was no ice. So you had to go somewhere, you know,
somewhere else. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes
you did both together, like dancing and skating, yes. Like together. Yep. At the same level. Let's say. Yes. That's incredible. Like there's not many people that can like dance at a professional level and skate at a professional level. That's like chapeau to you.
Well, thanks. I mean, and it was funny for me because, you know, I focused so much on the skating, but I always then, you know, all like through high school, I took class, and then I had my choreographer wasn't a skater. She was a ballerina. She, you know, we did almost everything off the ice first, and then she would come in and work with me, which was an incredible way to learn, I think. Mm-hmm. And I still, as you know, I'm used to teaching on the floor first, and then, you know, taking it to the ice. I think it just gives a better perspective in terms of developing, you know, absolutely, the emotion and character.
Yeah, you organize it, and is there like something that dancing brings up on you that skating doesn't, or you like feel the same with both of them? Which one do you like best? And you have to say dancing.
I think that's really tough because I do think that, I mean, obviously, you know, they go together, but there's some things with dance that you can't do on the ice, and with that being like, you can be more grounded and like being like working through your feet and being more flat-footed and like having that stability you can't do on the ice. And obviously, and that's something I have worked on and tried to bring that part of my love of that from dance. But then on the ice, you know, you have that ability, as we say, to travel without moving.
Yes.
So you can glide. The glide is I mean, it's infectious for me. I love that feeling too. But I think that the passion is very much the same, and I love both. And I think that's, you know, also it just reflects in the work that I've done over the years, and why I continue to do both.
Yes. So would you say like this passion of the feeling of the movement is what drives you more into choreography in your career? Was it that you wanted to show people different ways of movement?
Yeah, I mean, I love all types of dance. I mean, I think everyone, when you get to some point, has something that maybe they're better at, but that doesn't mean that, you know, just because I was a more lyrical dancer, that didn't mean that I didn't love to do tap and I didn't love to do hip hop. I didn't look as good doing it because that just wasn't my body style. Yeah. But you know, that's, for me, I think bringing in those areas that I liked to watch, I like to study and bring that into my own dance. Are you ringing?
She's going to watch this, that she's calling me instead on Instagram. Mama, what the heck? That was funny. Sorry, I totally distract you with that. Sorry.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I think, and I certainly, you know, after I, you know, competed and trained and, you know, went through university and then decided to turn professional and skate, having the time to focus on my own skating and that ability to then, right, go back to dance, go back to training. And, you know, that was my job, was to perform. I think all those years of working with incredible choreographers and skaters and traveling all over the world, just, you know, that was always something, my favorite part. I mean, I hate to say this, but I loved rehearsals. I loved the creation process.
I know you.
I know some people are like, I just want to get to the show. And I was like, we need more rehearsal. Let's just, we're going to keep creating.
You got exactly the finger that I like. We need to keep going.
Yeah. So I think that's why I went into choreography. And I started very young. I mean, it's funny. I wish I was able to get some of the videos, but there's video of me at like 9 years old leading these other girls around, like not only on the ice, but like in the dance, like
the house.
I was like teaching choreography at 7, 8, 9 years old.
It comes with us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The same. I have like VHS doing choreography in the balcony and inviting all my parents' friends to come watch me and my two friends that can dance, but I'm forcing them, obviously.
Right. You make them. Oh, my brother and my two sisters, they're probably scarred for life, but they had to do all the dances and the plays and the musicals, everything. So.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yep.
So when you were like younger, did you think that this was gonna be your career for life, or you had a moment where you're like, I need to study in university, or no, not at all?
Yeah, no. I mean, I knew I wanted to skate and to compete and everything at that point, and my parents said, well, you know, you can do that, but we want you to go to school as well, so you need to try and figure out a balance with that. And it was very smart, because then, you know, I ended up training pretty hard and I got injured. I broke my foot, and, you know, that was kind of the end of that. I was off the ice for almost, you know, it was almost 7 months. So, you know, I think right now with the kids, it's something of like an incredible, you know, to have that experience and know that you can work through that time away and what you can do to make yourself better. That's when I went, you know, just really focused at university. And so, I mean, that's where I was studying music. Obviously that's a huge part of me. And so I started off as an opera major. So I, you know, did opera and sang and, you know, did all of that.
As well? What?
Yeah.
You don't do.
So, yeah, so I started with that. And then my voice, it was pretty hard to balance both the skating and singing. It was a lot. So when my voice, I got kind of sick and I lost my voice, and I went, well, okay, maybe this isn't for me, but I love the music. So I continued to study like music theory and, you know, all of that stuff through the University of Denver. But then I switched my major to business, just because it felt more, I had so many qualitative things that I did, and to dance and to sing, and obviously with skating, that part I didn't know as well with the business, and I knew that would be important. So I focused on that, but I still, you know, once I got back, and I will say that the best thing about that injury was that's when I started doing Pilates and, you know, doing this non-weight bearing stuff, and then getting back, you know, into dance, because I just couldn't put the skates on and have the shock. And it made me an even better skater, but an even more aware of like my body again in that sense. So I think
it gives you another tool. For example, in this in this stage where nobody can go and skate, you can teach Pilates.
Yeah,
that's
right.
amazing.
And it's been really fun to do that and get to take, you know, with this, like, have some of that time to take classes from other people that I normally wouldn't have time because I'd be busy. So
Yeah. Well, people don't know, but you are like, well, now I'm surprised as well that you sing, because I thought you were multitask already, but this is just multi, like, hyper multi, blah, blah, blah.
I don't sing as much as I would like to anymore, but I
Oh,
can.
well, now's your chance in the balcony.
Yeah.
But Kelly will choreograph the show, will direct it, will put the lights on, will bring the costumes, we'll put the stones on the costumes.
Yeah, and you didn't know that, but in the first Rock on Ice that I did in Mexico, the singer lost his voice, so I sang the show for 3 days live. Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
So you're like the most useful,
which was a little
to
crazy.
have in a class.
A little crazy. But Simone says make the ice. Well, yeah, I made the ice too, but that's
Yes. Make the ice as well. He would not sleep. Like, come the next day, like, or like this, because he's like, I spent the night with the ice. So yes, it's true. Make the ice as well. I missed that one. You sang in the show. So you were like singing and then stoning and then doing everything.
Yeah. So actually, I sang live in Broadway on Ice as well on the national tour here in the U.S. for Willie B. Tech.
Oh my God!
They did this number, and originally it was Scott Hamilton, like, kind of had pre-recorded it, and so they said, we're going to do this number, and Kelly, will you do this little thing? And we had the pool cues, and it was fun. And then after we opened the show, we kind of had like a not such a great review, and they were like, it's too bad, like, these people are lip syncing. And I said, well, I can actually sing, so what do you think? And they said, well, let's give it a shot. So I did. Yeah. So
nice. You
really
were skating.
Skating.
As you were skating, you were singing.
Full on, microphone in the back pocket. You'd finish the number, and then all of a sudden the next number would come on, and I'd, have to, like, skate with Oksana Bayul and do a double axel, and I'd be so out of breath from singing, but it's okay.
I know. I was gonna say you were probably like running out of breath, because that's a lot.
Well, and I think and this is something that obviously Broadway people that Broadway actors, they're singing and dancing, and it's choreographed to work with that. Yes. So you have to train. Yes. You have to train to do that, and so it is possible to do that with skating as well, especially in the theater, in the small ice.
Oh, okay. Because I was just thinking,
it's much harder, and I've done it in the big arena.
Because I'm like, we can dance and sing, but you're going around. No, okay.
There's too much. There's too much of the wind blowing in the microphone. It doesn't sound very good.
Oh, yeah, true. That's true. Yeah. So I'm talking about Willie B. Tech. So you did ships as well, right?
Yep. So I started my professional career on the ships, and I did the Navigator of the Seas. That was the second cast. So it was like 2004, 2003. Okay. And then I did Adventure of the Seas as well. So I did 2 ships, and then I went right into Broadway on Ice, because they started that national tour.
For the people that don't know, like, ships, the company Royal Caribbean has ice on the ships, and they hire skaters, but you have to be really good. I mean, they don't hire anybody. You have to be every single skater that it's a cast member is as well a soloist or an adagio skater. So there is no chorus. Everybody does everything, so the level is pretty high.
Yeah, very high.
You have to have a very good standard.
They're all, principal level skaters. And, when I was on the ship, there were, Anya had gone to the Olympics and was 3rd in the world, and Martine was Canadian national champion. My partner Molly that I did pairs with, she, had competed at nationals, and international competitions. And so very, very, yeah. I mean, and it's really neat to go back now because I have skaters that, you know, I've worked with growing up that are now performing on the ship. So it's really cool to see that. But I mean, an incredible experience, you know, like we were talking about, to be in this place where there are all these different artists and performers, you know, in one place. And I have friends, you know, lifelong friends that I've met and, you know, continue to work with. So it's a really, really cool experience.
It is, and it takes you everywhere. So you have the chance to see a lot of the world as well. So,
yeah. Well, and when I was on the ship, we were only in the Caribbean.
Okay, well, you get to have a very nice time.
I've seen all of the Caribbean many times. I love Barbados, right. And Aruba, and obviously St. Martin, and
the water is Martin. That's amazing. Yes,
amazing.
And you get a very nice tan, and it's a great job. It's a great job. I was going to ask you something about that, and I forgot now.
Oh, I remember because I told you yesterday, and I also was in the dance shows on the ship because Katie knew that I had been a dancer, and so they were down a boy.
Katie the choreographer, or Katie?
Well, she was in the show at that point.
She was in the blonde Katie, right?
Yeah.
Curly Katie. Okay, Katie is a dancer from Royal Caribbean, and now is an installer, so people know. So she teaches you the shows now. But at that time, when Kelly was on board, she was in the show.
Yeah. So she convinced me, which was kind of a lot of work, but I didn't have to go into like learn the like full combos and everything. Like I did like peripheral stuff, and I like would help move props and like lift girls off the stage, like just stuff. I did like the on Adventure, I did like the ropes at the beginning, because that was Velvet Rope was the show at the time. So I did that, and I was in the Matrix number. God, I mean, yeah, I guess I haven't even really, that's crazy that I hadn't thought about that in a long time.
So tell me this story. So you were in the Navigator, and like a dancer got injured or something?
Yeah, I don't know if he, like something happened with his visa or whatever, so he didn't make it, you know, for rehearsals, and they still they did the cast changeover, and so I was in the show I think for 6 weeks.
Oh my god! Yeah. So people know, like, you have the ice show, right? And they skate a lot. Like it's only twice a week. If it's in a week,
right? So you do the show, like 4 or 5 shows a week, so 2 nights a week usually,
and then the dancers do the same.
The other nights,
Yes, on the other nights, so everybody can get to see the shows. So Kelly was in the ice show, and somebody from the dance show got injured, and you jump in. So you had to learn the whole show, which is not.
Well, yeah. Thankfully, I didn't have to learn the whole show. Otherwise, I really would have been like, oh! But it was a lot. It was so fun though, because, you know, like just to be able to do a couple numbers and have that experience. I don't know. It was great. And I will say, I did make one of the dancers like learn how to skate once to help with like one part in the show. So,
you're like switching cast members.
Yeah. I don't think they let you do that anymore.
No, I don't think so. But you said mask. I'm sure they're the
safest. I couldn't imagine like going into the aqua show. Like, what?
It's like, I'm gonna dive from the high diving. Yes, I'm a waiter in my normal time, but I'm gonna take over the high diving.
Yeah. Could not even imagine.
Yeah, probably with the safety like suggestions of nowadays, they won't let you. But at the time, I'm sure you were very helpful to save their ass. And what was the name of the show you said?
What now?
The name of the show?
It was Now and Forever.
Now and Forever.
Now and Forever, and then All Access was the other show.
And you step in because All Access wasn't easy. Now and Forever was more.
I was not as much of that. Yeah, that was hard. Those things at the beginning, like ripped.
Yeah, this one, triple pirouette. Hunky, donkey kick. Yeah, not a piece of cake. That show very demanding. Well, that's amazing. Congratulations. And how were you with like the roommate situation in the ships or in tour? Were you
So
like
I
OCD?
was
Were you
at least
fuzzy? Were you
on the
easygoing?
ships. On the ships, I was like the odd one out, because so like there were couples that were already together, so they like had their rooms, but I had like the rotating door. So like I had like cruise staff and sports staff.
Oh yes.
Like it was crazy. That was hard. I remember I had one roommate that he snored so loud I would sleep like backstage in Studio B, because I like wouldn't get enough sleep, so I'd like take a nap in Studio B.
In the couch.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then like with tour and like being in the show, most of the time it was a little bit more flexible if you didn't really get along with someone, that you could, switch roommates. And I was always very lucky, like with Broadway on Ice, to have, great, my roommates were my best friends. So it was really fun. But it is, I mean, I think it's a really good experience to have to live with someone that you don't really know and understand like how their life works. And especially if they don't do the same thing that you do on the ship, that you're just learning about like how someone else goes about their day and lives their life.
Yes. And as well, like for people to know, when you are in a cast, we all become really close and we all do the same. So it becomes a little bit mono theme, right? Like we talk about skating, we talk about dancing. I got a roommate on the ship that it was a singer from Philippines. And yeah, they have different schedule, but it was nice because she does something different. She's from a different country. So we had to talk about, for example, something simple as, how was your day? Which you weren't together all day. So that's nice.
Yeah, I think it just, for me, like in being able to perform and travel, to meet these people, like I said, is so enriching for my life, because they are still part of my life, and I, have worked with them and learned so much from them, in regards to how, they got to where they are. And I don't know, I think it's a really great thing if you can do that with your career.
Of course. Simone is saying, talk about bringing everything.
Oh.
I would guess that means like a printer and a cooler, things that I've seen you
always prepared. You always have to be prepared. Oh, blinging and bringing everything. Like, yes, be prepared to bling the costumes. Everything needs to sparkle. That is very important for me.
Oh yeah. She keeps going, putting stones on everything. That's true. Kelly, you go on tour with Kelly and like your guards break, and oh my God, Kelly goes, I have an extra pair, and they have stones in it already. I need to print this. I have a printer. Like, what the heck? Like, it's true. You bring everything. That is a good one. Yes.
Well, I think when it becomes your life, and you learn there's tricks and little things that, help you get through. But I also know with my skaters and doing choreography, but also directing and producing shows, that you want to be prepared. And I think it's something to also that helps, in the rest of your life, in terms of like what you need to do to get through your day. And right, stuff happens. So, I think even at this, at this moment in time, I was not really worried to have to leave the city and come to my parents, their lake house, because I knew my mom would have enough food for, the next year. Even if we're just making our own bread and peanut butter sandwiches,
Yeah.
We have
Corn.
yeah,
Cans.
lots of flour and butter. Yeah.
So how do you do in airports with like overweight? Because I've seen you bring an amazing amount of stuff. So you have always paid extra luggage?
No, but you, at least in the States, I put as much heavy stuff into the green backpack and that bag
Okay.
to carry it on, and you know
Green.
how it fits. And then with the suitcases, you just really try to, you know, be smart.
So,
But sometimes, you know, with going to the show and like bringing costumes and bringing things, yes, I would have to pay for an extra bag but it wasn't just my stuff. It was, you know, for the show. So
you're getting a lot of comments about this subject. Simone is saying, tell them everything you can carry in your bag. Nikki saying, yeah, the big bag, Kelly. And Mary is saying, I still have, I can't read, my Buns Pads case
the
you gave
Bunga
me
pads?
10 years ago. So like everybody remembers you not only for being nice and a great skater, but for all the stuff you're so generous as well, because you always give away stuff when somebody needs it. You just like give it away, and that's very nice.
Well, I mean, here's my thing with, you know, with that. I think if for my shows, you know, the show's only as good as everyone in the show feels. Like if you're feeling good and prepared and you're ready to go, you're going to give a better performance. You're going to do a better job. And I think I was somewhat raised like that to, you know, always be prepared. And I say that to my skaters now, you know, what you do yesterday is probably what you're going to do today. So you don't, you know, if there's no magic that all of a sudden today you're going to be amazing. You have to put in the time and the work and be prepared. And I think, you know, that's part of having, you know, the supplies and those things for people. Like you get, you know, anxious or nervous if you don't, you know, if something goes wrong and you need a Band-Aid or your lace breaks or your fishnets need to be fixed or right, your costume breaks and I'm sewing you into the costume and you're going to be okay. So I think that for me, that's always, you know, I had those own like kind of fears or insecurities, and to, you know, provide to say, hey, you know, just don't be stressed and
to provide security, because definitely working with you in production when you're choreographing or you're producing definitely makes everybody feel safe, because we all know you're gonna take care of whatever needs to be taken care, and that's very nice. I'm sure your students are the same. You love teaching, right?
yeah, I mean, and I think, you know, that was hard this year. I had, you know, 3 different productions, 3 different shows, and the one show in Minneapolis where, you know, I'm the main director and choreographer, we had a record number. We had like 153 kids in the show, let alone we also do like a family number. So there's another like 60 parents. So, you know, over, you know, almost 250 people in that show. Same thing. I help with another show in the metro area there, and they have like 300 people in the show. And in Colorado as well, you know, there's like 170 kids in the show. So all these kids that you know, we've been working and preparing for that, and it didn't happen, and you know, they were very upset, and I just said, you know, sometimes the show doesn't happen. That doesn't mean the show doesn't go on. It just isn't happening today, but it will happen in the future. So yeah, I mean, that's, and you learn, you know, how over the years, like what things really do matter. And I think that, you know, I certainly am a little bit lower key than I was. I was much more, you know, so excited and I wanted everything perfect, but you know, it never really is. But okay. No, just to be, when you know, get into the show and you do the same show every day and you think it's, you know, it gets boring. But I think for me, I learned like how exciting it was to be able to work on that show and change your performance and make it better you know, and
Yes.
it's a really cool opportunity that when I first went into shows, I thought, oh, I don't want to do the same show every day. I'm going to be bored. And then once you figure that out, it's so fun because you can grow within, you know, what that
Yeah,
role is.
absolutely. It feels repetitive, but it's not. Like
Right.
every show, something different happens, and the music gets off, and somebody kind of go out because he missed a quick change, and you're always on your toes, and that's what makes it fun. Tell me about pro skaters. So you work with them. You
Yeah.
want to tell what pro skaters is for people that don't know?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a great organization that, you know, we don't really have agents in figure skating, you know, for the most of us. I mean, obviously if you're, you know, Olympic champion and you're doing commercials and things like that, but for the rest of us, to find out about shows and productions and, you know, workshops, Pro Skaters kind of is, you know, this platform that you can go to and find out about that and connect with all these other professional skaters and people from all over the world. And I've been helping almost 10 years to, you know, do workshops, do seminars, help, you know, connect younger skaters to get into shows and figure out, you know, what you need to do and what you need to work on. And it's a really incredible resource for certainly for new skaters, but also for people that, you know, maybe have been out of it and are looking for an opportunity.
That's a great job, because absolutely that brings a lot into the skating world, you know, for everybody that wants to go into shows. So that's a big input that you're doing there. So you work in Sun Valley. Tell me about, they do a show. I don't know very much. They do a show every year, right? Do they audition there? How is the camp and all that?
Yeah. So in Sun Valley, I actually used to train there in the summers. And it's beautiful. There's this beautiful outdoor rink. It's been there for, oh my gosh, I think over 75 years. I mean, Sonia Henney used to film her movies there back in the 50s. So, I mean, maybe even longer. The actual rink now, I think, and I know Scott's putting in the ice, I think next week, which will be great. But, so they have this beautiful outdoor rink. It's in a lovely mountain town in Idaho. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing like skating outside, obviously, when it's warm. And they've had a show.
It looks so beautiful.
They've had a professional show for almost as long as I think the rink has been open. And so I remember when I was growing up, you know, I got to see Brian Boitano and Katerina Vid and Christy Yamaguchi and, you know, those skaters perform in the shows. So on Saturday nights, they have this amazing live show outside and under the stars. And then, you know, during the day, there's all these incredible professionals and coaches and trainers that are there in the summer as you know, helping these kids. And so they have a competition, and they started doing, you know, a professional competition in the last couple of years. And, you know, you get to skate outside. It's incredible. And then, you know, you get feedback from these judges, and it's casting directors from Disney on Ice and Holiday on Ice and the cruise ships, as well as, you know, other production companies. And
so it's like a first encounter of kids that come from the amateur with professional producers that give them a feedback to improve. And that's a great tool, because after that, if they go audition, they know, you know, how to dress or what to do, what not to do. That's amazing. So they take this camp and they get this knowledge, and they get to see a show in the evening with professional skaters.
Yes. So it really is an incredible, I mean, I call it, you know, it's an opportunity, but like to have all of that in one place is
absolutely
really, you know, really neat. So it's been awesome to be a part of that. And I mean, there have been kids that I worked with that I didn't know, and they took, you know, the seminar, and then they went into the show, and then, you know, I went to go see the show, and I saw them, and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You know, like, I never thought I would be here. And so that's been really rewarding to
I was going to
give
say
back to that, for sure.
Must be
Yep.
very, very rewarding to you, because you see them there, you know, just came out of the shell, and then you see them in the show, and you know you're part of that, and you help with that in somebody's life. That's really nice. That's amazing. So everybody that wants to audition and be part of this, they can find out this in a website. There's where can they go to find out what they can?
Proskaters.org, and they have a couple different seminars like that throughout the year. Usually they do one in Knoxville, Tennessee, and then they'll do some satellite, you know, experiences and things for people. But it's really kind of the best way to get your foot in the door. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and you just can get that exposure, but also meet and actually talk to these people and get feedback.
Get the feedback. I think that's great, because me as a dancer, for example, at least here, when I was training, I didn't have that. So you were going from, you know, the school you were learning to jump into an audition. Yeah, your teacher will give you some advice, wear this, do this, whatever, but you don't have this chance of really meeting producers and understanding how this works. So you're thrown in there, and you learn through the bad experiences of meeting those, and this is great.
And that's similar, like, same for me, like my aunt, who, you know, she ran a dance studio and had like 500 kids and had dancers in New York. And so when I went to New York, like, I was able to get in to do classes and things because I knew these people, and they said, you know, yeah, okay, we know who you are. And I think that just having a little bit of that connection, because our world gets very small, like, so fast as you like get into it, but it's hard to like to get to that point.
I feel it's like we all take it personal, because that obviously is our reality, but I think it's every single aspect of professionalist world in this world, it has to do with connections.
Yes.
That's it. I mean, we see it from the artistic side, but you can see it from any profession. If you know somebody and they know you, that you're good, you have one little step ahead. So that is very, very good to get that to the kids that wants to do that. So tell me about your traveling. I want to know, because you have worked a lot around the world. Do you remember roughly how many countries have you seen?
Let's see. Well, I mean, obviously I performed on the ship, so I was all just in the Caribbean. It's too bad they didn't have the ports in Europe, because that would have been amazing. But but I toured, you know, in all over England and in France and in Germany and the Czech Republic.
Nice.
And then obviously I was, you know, worked in Mexico for many years. And
were you doing a European tour with one show, or it was many shows?
I did a couple different shows, so smaller. I never got to do Holiday on Ice. I got to go on tour with my friend Ashley Clark for like 3 weeks once, which was really fun. So I got an idea of being on Holiday, but I worked for Robin Cousins in England. So he had a tour through Dancing on Ice that we would do in the summer. So it kind of went all over, and we were also like on the Isle of Jersey, and it was really pretty cool. And then with like Broadway on Ice, we were in Germany, and then we toured all over the Czech Republic, and in Prague. We were in Prague at the end. So that was beautiful. It was
nice.
That was really
cool.
So
from all these places that you had the chance to go, which one would you say you like the best? You can give categories. Yeah. I like I like this one because of the food. I like this one because of the view. I give you that.
Yeah, I loved. I mean, I love Mexico. I think it was, I spent probably the most amount of time like away from the States there. So it's sort of like a, a
Second
second
home.
home. But, being in France was just beautiful. I think, Nice and Leon were spectacular. I loved I loved doing the summer shows on the Isle of Jersey. That was really cool just because it was a lot of friends. So it felt like, again, like a family situation and being able to perform. And so, yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think the coolest experience probably was performing in the Czech Republic, believe it or not. We thought we first got there and we did the show and we were like, okay, what did you think? And they're all right. And then the next night we did the show and the audience like didn't stop clapping for like 20 minutes at the end. And they didn't clap like during the show at all. Like it was very quiet and we were like not used to that. And then at the end, they didn't stop clapping. So like, I remember like the skaters went back out and did like more backflips and like we did like more bows. I mean, it was the most unbelievable thing to think they just had not seen a show like that because, right. We had like the live music through parts of it and then just incredible skaters and they weren't responsive. And then it was like, they just loved it at the end. So that was really a neat, I'll never forget that experience.
So the best audience experience will be in Czech Republic for you.
Yeah, I think that was that was such an incredible experience. But I mean, obviously, I think the audiences, in Mexico are just ridiculous.
Yes, they're very good.
I mean, they are the loudest, and it is like such an incredible feeling when you can they just project that energy. So
yeah, they're great.
That would be, I guess, that would be probably number 2 in terms of like being a performer and having that reaction from the audience.
That's awesome. And traveling wise, do you remember, like, is there any hotel that you will say, this one I always remember because it was very nice, or because it had the best service, the food, or an experience that you bring you?
Well, I mean, a lot of amazing hotels. I think going around like England, we stayed in some really old hotels. Like there was this one that was like the lace market. It was like this old like factory that they converted into the hotel. I think that was it was either in, where the heck was that? I think it was in Nottingham, England. That was really cool to stay there. That was a beautiful hotel. Yeah, where else? Like I mean, when we were in Florida with Broadway on Ice, we stayed in like some beautiful hotels, like by the beaches. Like that was really
great.
fun. In
when you get a hotel that you enjoy the day in the beach.
Fort Lauderdale. Like we were in Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach, in Clearwater. Like being there, especially there, because it was like in the winter, so it was like I was coming from the cold, and then all of a sudden you have this warm weather. That was always really nice to do that.
I know. So, do you have like any anecdotes that you remember, like funny? Like, did you miss a plane or something with a roommate? Or show that like,
I mean,
exploded? Anything we
well, there's. I mean, I think there's a few, and some of these people that are on here might know, but I have missed many flights.
Really?
Many. Yeah. And like not made the connection and had to wait, spend the night. I've been stuck all over the country. I mean, I've been stuck in Salt Lake City. I've been stuck in Houston many times, coming back and forth to Mexico. Like bag gets lost, like especially when we were on Broadway, because we did so many split cities. A lot of times our bags would be lost. So, and at that point you still weren't allowed to bring your skates with you. So we would all get really nervous. You couldn't carry them on the plane.
Can you now? Can you get them on
now.
the plane?
In the States, you can again.
In the States.
Yeah, some airports are. Yeah, but like I remember in Mexico City, when they changed some ruling, and I had all these skaters with me, and we went to put the skates through, and they said no, you can't, and I had to take everyone's skates and go buy a suitcase and check them, and then I was like running to get back to make it to catch the flight to get out of Mexico City. Oh, wow. But yeah, with travel days, like in Prague, I was so overweight. Speaking, I'm sure people know that I was throwing like the socks and underwear out of my suitcase because I was like, I don't need this. I don't need these. Is it enough? Yeah. So
it's a hustle. Glorious days when our parents used to travel, and you can get always 2 suitcases of like 30 kilos.
I'll say something, but when I got onto the cruise ship, there wasn't like a weight restriction, but you were only supposed to bring like your carry-on and your 1 suitcase. But I had 3 suitcases and 6 carry-ons because I brought my comforter, my king-size comforter, and my pillows, and then I had an extra pair of skates, and I had to have at least 16 matching Lululemon outfits. Actually, there was no Lululemon back then. It was all Juicy Couture. But anyway, it was really funny because some of the Russian skaters that when we signed on, they were like, oh, just give me your bag, Kelly. So they brought the bags on for me.
Because they were probably having one each.
One bag. They were really smart. And I was being, a diva. So. Yeah.
So which one would it be the show you like the most performing?
Oh, wow. I think Broadway on Ice for me was the most fun because there were so many different aspects to the show. Mm-hmm. And it was, a little bit longer, but it was still in the theater. But and in terms of like performing that's probably my favorite show, but I don't know. I mean, obviously then you have like different parts of within those shows or numbers that you remember that you like more, but like overall that probably for me was my favorite. But I really loved doing the show at SeaWorld. It was I didn't skate as much. It was a shorter show, but it was just really fun to skate outside, and it was really great audiences, and that's probably like my second favorite in terms of me performing and like not I just got to come in and skate and didn't I mean, Wolfsburg in Germany was an like incredible growing experience, and to be able to work with friends and be part of that creation process, that was probably my last big show that I was just a skater. I wasn't on
the other side. Was Simone choreographing that one?
Yes.
So we're linking the interviews.
And that's why that's that's how I ended up being a part of that, and it's incredible to work over the years with people, and you have a rapport with someone, and kind of how they move and they know how you move, and so that creation process happens
smooth.
It's a little bit more organic to begin with, and then you can develop it. So again, same thing. That's why I really I do love this opportunity for us where you get to work with people many times and help them grow as an artist, but then that helps you grow as you know, the other side of it being, you know, the choreographer.
Of course. And do you remember any like phrases of different languages that you've learned with your traveling?
¿Por qué no?
What? ¿Por
¿Por
qué
qué
no?
no? Yeah. Well, and ay Dios mío.
Ay, Dios mío.
Those are my
No
Spanish.
bueno.
Those are my Spanish. So in German, it's Seid einmal bitte, which is one more time, please. I know I can say one more time, please, in Seid einmal bitte, un plus de fois, s'il vous plaît, in French.
Okay.
And then it is, let's see, un plus de fois, yeah, uno vez más, por favor. That's Spanish. So I know one more time and, you know, 3 other languages. Because I say it all the time. Do it again. One more time.
Again. Can you count? Can you count to 4 in the languages?
6, 7, 8. Yeah. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. 8, 9, 10.
Well, good.
So I can, yeah. So I can count to, at least count to 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we count. We don't know anything else.
5,
Do you
6,
have
7,
like,
8.
any recommendation or advice to people? I'm interested, like in these interviews, to go off the competition side. You know, I want to show people that there's another world, and there's not only quads or this or that that you have to achieve to have a successful career. You know, if you have expression, if you have feelings that you want to put in your body, there is as well a very big side of skating that will allow you to do that. So do you want to say something about that? Do you want to encourage kids or people to look for that in their lives?
Well, I mean, and I think, you know, through this and what we had talked about before, and even, you know, way back to when, you know, you did your first ice show for me. Just saying.
It was my first one, yes, with you. Thank God it was with you.
Roped into skating.
Yes.
Is right. I mean, I think performance is performance, and the more that you can work on those skills, the better that you can be. Everybody, you know, everybody has strengths, but you know, we all have weaknesses as well. And you know, I was never as flexible as I wanted to be, so you know, I constantly worked on stretching, and I think that part, like with dance, was so crucial to the development of being able to do what I would like to do with my body. So any way that you can work on your movement, and obviously expression with your body, and having nuances and knowing, you know, where you are in space, but also then you can work so much on your mindset and, you know, developing that inner monologue as to what you're thinking. And I say this to my skaters all the time. I'm like, I don't want to see your thinking face, because I don't need to know that what you're thinking on the outside. I need to see what you're feeling, and on the inside you can be thinking. But
again, we went over the hour. We're supposed to do 40 minutes tops, and I just keep going further and further. This is insane. So Kelly, come back. Stop, because it's too hard. It's way too hard to do a short interview with these people.
There we go. We can wrap it up. I think that's a good. I think my phone was gonna die anyways too.
Okay.
But I think, like I said, that to me is always something that you can keep working on, not being on the ice, but also when you are on the ice, like finding the nuances and finding those little things that make you stronger. And you know, I say that to all of the skaters at the pro skaters competition or the seminar too, is you want to show up being more prepared than you think you need to be, because you will have more fun doing the show or getting through rehearsals if you are prepared than, you know, just
Yes.
expecting to learn how to do everything right then and there.
Yeah.
So I think that's my advice, and something that I learned and tried to really work on that for myself and pass that on to, you know, my students. So
Of course. Okay, I have 2 questions that we need to do quickly. One,
okay.
best and worst of this career lifetime.
Best and worst. I think the best for me was probably doing, being able to create like Rock on Ice and have that, you know, the opportunity to really make my own show and have, you know, that faith and trust of what I was doing. And then, you know, obviously I think the worst was being electrocuted. And I think that was probably the worst thing. So yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. Let's wrap it up with that. And then what do you think this pandemia will leave for good for all of us?
I think it will make, I really think it'll make people understand that we can slow down, and that you should take the time to focus on, you know, what is the most important thing. And it's just getting through a day. It's getting through daily life, and that each day is worth so much more than I think people are always, at least for us, but we're, you know, we're workers, and we're trying to always, you know, get the next best performance.
Yeah.
And appreciating it, and like being able to look at these questions and think about it a little bit is right. Appreciating those things when it has, you know, happened, and being in that present moment. And I remember Simone talking about that as well. And that's something that, you know, she really taught me, is being present in the performance, and, you know, reacting to your audience, but also, you know, listening to what your own body is feeling, and taking that, and that's what propels you to go further. And I think that's just a really positive thing, because you don't get as wrapped up in, you know, what has happened and it wasn't perfect, and I didn't, you know, that part is hard for us, because we are always correcting ourselves. But to take that correction and try and do a little bit each day like that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, amigo. It was lovely to have you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I cannot keep it short with you guys.
Yes.
It's so interesting to hear you. So thank you so much. Let's do a cheers.
Yes, here, cheers. And salud, and prost, and na zdrowie,
and all that, yeah.
Yay. Okay. Well, enjoy the evening, and we'll chat soon.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Have a good time. Stay healthy.
You as well.
Yeah. Ciao,
Okay.
ciao.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao. So thank you, everybody, for taking a look at all your questions. I tried, but I get so wrapped up in the interview with these guys. That are amazing stories that they have on their careers, and as well the knowledge they can bring to us. So thank you, everybody, to watch, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Bye.